There's the emergency exit is to your left, so if you have an emergency, just look for me in the blue shirt or Mrs. Albert over there. When you came in through the entrances, you would have saw an elevator. There's a bathroom over there, so if you just walk out the doors, turn left and then right, restrooms will be there. If you guys don't mind, just silence your phones and, just other common courtesy stuff. And you're great.
Thank you.
All right. Welcome to the Have You Googled Yourself Lately session. We're going to talk today about social media and how you can use it to get what you want in life and how you can use it to benefit you. So we'll start by introducing ourselves.
And we're going to go ahead and use our own social media profiles to introduce ourselves. So up here I have my LinkedIn profile. How many of you have heard of LinkedIn? It's a little bit more of a professional profile. You'll probably want it when you start getting jobs. So what can you learn from me about what can you learn about me from my LinkedIn profile? Well, you can see my name. You can see that I am clearly married because I used to have the last name Carter. You can see that I'm the program manager at Leadership Pikes Peak, and I run a teen program, the Leading Edge program. It's a leadership program in the summer that I'll talk more about later. You can see that I live in Colorado Springs, and you can also see that before my job at Leadership Pikes Peak, I worked at Colorado College. And then we have my Facebook page. I use my Facebook page a little more as a personal website, although I do mix some of my professional life in. So what else can you learn from me? Well, you get to look at my cute husband, so you know who I'm married to. You can see that I studied here at Colorado College, and I studied arts, business, and administration. You can also see that I went to Fountain Park Carson High School, go Trojans, and that I'm from Colorado Springs, so born and raised here. What else? Can you see anything else about me? Maybe that you can see that I like to travel. Maybe you could deduce that from my picture. And you can see that I've been married from since 2016. And you can also see my birthday.
It's not your birthday today.
It's not my birthday
we don't
today.
get to say happy
No.
birthday.
So what can we learn about Chris?
So my name is Christopher Obi. I am originally from Norway, so that's why I have the fjords here. This is from my LinkedIn profile. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit called Catamount Institute. We do outdoor science and adventure education with kids and teens and college students. So before I was executive director of Catamount Institute, I worked for a fair trade organic coffee company, and that's where my background in social media started. I was their marketing manager for this company. It was a national coffee company. I traveled the country to trade shows, worked on social media to try and get more publicity for the company, meet new customers, and then I was brought on to Catamount Institute to do the same thing as the marketing manager. And I stayed there a little too long and I became the director of the organization, and I also still handle all of our social media and our marketing. And so when I started social media back in 2007, when I was at the coffee company, I also started working on my own personal brand. This is my Facebook profile page. Worked at Catamount Institute. I worked at Bed Bath & Beyond a long time ago. I went to Pikes Peak Community College. I also went to the Illinois Institute of Art. I grew up mostly in Monument, north of the Springs. Another thing that's not on here is I am also a part of Leading Edge. I'm a volunteer on the steering committee, so I work with Cassie in the summer on that program, which you'll hear about later. So, we're here to talk about social media.
All right, so we want to hear from you. What social media sites are you using and why do you use them? Anyone? Go for it.
I use Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google.
Do you really use Google Plus?
Yeah.
Why do you use those sites? Why do you choose those sites?
I keep getting bored and I'll find nothing to do.
Do you use them as a for personal reasons, like friends, or professional reasons?
Friends and stuff.
Friends, great. Who else? Who else uses social media? I know you all do. Yeah. What do you use?
I use Facebook, Google Plus, YouTube, and Instagram.
Awesome. We really thought no one used Google Plus. Very fun. Which one are you on most, would you say?
I would say this one.
Facebook, because you're on right now?
No, this is
What is
okay,
this?
that's Google Plus.
That's Google Plus? I don't use it, so I don't know what it looks like. All right. Anyone else? Well,
I use Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And that's probably about it.
Awesome.
Besides Instagram.
So lots of Facebook, some Twitter, Instagram. Is anyone using LinkedIn? Yeah? LinkedIn. That's okay.
That's okay. Does anybody use Pinterest? All right, so
Yeah,
Pinterest
I
is
love
also
Pinterest.
social media. Does anybody use WhatsApp? Good, also considered social media. So for context, in October 2017, the total worldwide population was 7.6 billion people. So 7.6 billion people. The internet has 3.6 billion users. How many of you use the internet in here?
I'm using it right now.
Great. Okay, so you're part of that 3.5 billion. Interesting that there's 7 billion people in the world and only 3.5 have access to the internet. So that's a topic for another day. Of that 3.5 billion users, there are 3.03 billion active social media users. 91% of retail brands have 2 or more social media channels.
So how many of you are friends or like a retail brand on Facebook or something? What are some retail brands?
Patagonia.
Patagonia. What are some other retail brands that you know of?
Retail brand again.
Like Nike.
So
Like a
company.
store or a company. Nike,
Microsoft.
Pink, Microsoft, good, awesome. Victoria's Secret, yep. Gucci.
They're all great.
He uses anime.
So 81% of small businesses also use some sort of social media platform. Internet users have an average of 7.6 social media accounts.
So
Social
just,
media.
Just think about that. How many social media accounts do you have? Just think about that for a second. Do you have 7.6? More than that?
I lost
Great.
count.
You lost count? All right, cool.
So in the between the second and third quarter of 2017, which is kind of that March, April, May, and then June, July, August timeframe, social media users grew by 121 million people. So that works out to be a new person on a social media account every 15 seconds. And Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp handle 60 billion messages a day. So every day, 60 billion messages are going through those. On Facebook, there's over 2 billion users. Half of the internet users who say they don't have Facebook themselves live with someone who is on Facebook. And half of those people, about 24%, say that they will use that other person's Facebook page to look at posts and pictures. So even though they themselves don't have Facebook, they use someone else's Facebook account to use Facebook.
Does anyone
But then they
do
can
that?
still say, I don't have
Yeah?
Facebook.
You do
you
that?
do that back there? Instagram has 800 million users, LinkedIn has 500 million users, Pinterest 200 million users, Snapchat 178 million daily users, Twitter 330 million users, WhatsApp has 9 million users, and YouTube has 1.5 billion users.
How much is it?
I didn't get that one.
We'll have to look it up.
It's,
We'll
I
have to
think it's
Google
in
it.
the lower, it's in the hundreds of millions is where they are. But Facebook and YouTube are kind of our big social media things out there, and then with WhatsApp and Instagram kind of in set third and fourth place.
All right, so when we're talking about social media, we have to talk about privacy and safety, of course. So some of our tips are keep your information private, post as if your grandparents, your boss, your pastor, your little siblings, your teacher, or the police will see, and don't talk to strangers. So what we mean by that is sometimes it's okay to get to know a new person. They're a stranger when you start to get to know them, right? But don't talk to the weirdos, okay? Don't get caught up in that. You never know who they are, and also always be questioning that. If you've never met this person in person, you don't truly know who they are, right? You know what they're presenting, but you don't know who they are. So what are some things that you've heard about social media and safety and privacy on social media? What have you been told by your parents or your teachers or the media? What have you heard? Yeah.
My dad says everyone on social media is retarded.
Okay.
That once you post something, it's always out there.
Once you post something, it's always out there. Yep. Anyone else? What have you heard about privacy? And safety on social media. Yeah?
Keep private information private.
Keep private information private. Yes. Anyone else? Awesome. All right. So something else that we definitely have to talk about when it comes to social media is freedom of speech. A lot of people say, well, I can post whatever I want on social media. I'm an American. I have freedom of speech. That's true to an extent. So what is covered under freedom of speech? Things like, my boss is a tyrant, and I hate my job. You're allowed to say those things. You're also allowed to disagree with other people's opinions or even speak out against politicians. You are allowed to say that you hate the president's decision on this or that you love the president's decision on this. You're also allowed to use profanity. You're allowed to be critical of other people, and you're even allowed to use some violent language legally. In general, as an American with freedom of speech. What is not allowed? Here's the thing. That line and crossing the line can be very difficult to balance because it's not a very clear black straight line. It's a very blurred line. So it depends on the circumstance and it depends on the situation surrounding. But here's where it gets illegal. When you post something that makes someone feel physically threatened, that their lives are physically threatened. So I have an example for you. There was a man and he had to go to court over some custody or something. And the judge ruled not in his favor. So he had to go to jail for a few weeks and he was really mad. So he took to social media. This judge is stupid. His name was Judge Birmingham. Judge Birmingham is stupid. Judge Birmingham doesn't know how to do his job. Judge Birmingham is the worst judge in the world. Totally fine. It was when he posted this tweet, "Pray for the death of Judge." He started posting tweets about Judge Birmingham's family, his kids, and his wife. That's when the judge felt physically threatened by this man, and that's when it became an illegal issue, and he actually ended up going to jail for multiple years because of what he was posting on social media. The other thing that you have to be careful of is even though you're legally allowed to post some things in general, sometimes you're a part of organizations that have different rules. So maybe your job has a different set of rules, or your college or your high school has a different set of rules. For example, here at Colorado College, they have a policy that you have to sign when you become a student that says, I will not post anything that's harassment or that is discriminatory, okay? And then the other thing you have to remember is that posting anonymously is never anonymous. There's no such thing as anonymous in today's world. Why? Because of technology, they can figure out who wrote it, or because someone else might know you wrote that post, even if it's on an anonymous app such as Yik Yak. So let me tell you a story about a Colorado College student. In 2015, there was a male student who posted on the social media app Yik Yak, which is an anonymous social media post, and he made a derogatory statement about a specific race. Well, turns out that someone knew he had written that and went and told on him. He got in trouble. He was no longer anonymous, and he had gone against his college's policy. So he was suspended for 2 years. So you have to keep in mind that things are not anonymous, and just because legally you can do certain things, if you're within an institution and you've signed an agreement, you have to follow those rules, and they override your constitutional freedom of speech. The last thing, and then we'll get into the fun stuff, but we have to give you the warnings, right, about the world of social media. The last thing that I want to talk to you about is employers or college recruiters using social media to look in on you. A lot of people think this is illegal. It's not. What's illegal is a potential employer cannot ask for your password or access to your private account. However, as an employer, as a program manager for the program I run, as a college admissions person, I have every legal right to look you up on Google, look you up on Facebook, and what you have out there for the public, I'm allowed to use. And I'm allowed to use in my decision making of whether to consider you as a candidate for a job or to consider you as a student for a college. There are some lines. You're not allowed to discriminate based on race, on gender, on age, on a status such as someone being pregnant or not. But let's say I go on for my teen program and I get applications and I'm searching the teens and I see them and they're talking about all the drugs they did at a party last weekend. Do you think I'm going to accept them in my program? No. And I have every right not to, because they're not suitable by what they're putting out on social media for that program. Colleges do this, and so do employers. In fact, I'll give you a stat here. According to the 2017 Career Builder Survey, 70% of employers use social media to screen their candidates before hiring. I've even done this myself. I've gone online and looked at candidates to decide who to interview. The other thing about college is there is a survey of more than 350 college admissions officers in the U.S., and 35% of them reported having looked at applicants' social media sites before deciding if they were going to accept them into the college or not. So you have to be cautious of those things. Okay, boring stuff over. Let's have fun with social media.
So, all of that makes you feel like, oh, the bad information is if I'm searching for you and I can't find anything, I'm going to be like, what is this person trying to hide? Or if I'm comparing two people and I know that one student who's coming in for an internship volunteered with a local food shelter and the other person I know nothing extra about because it wasn't in their resume and I can't find them on social media, I'll probably go with the person that I can learn a little bit more about. So personal branding is about managing your name, even if you're not a business. In this world today, there's fake news, misinformation, disinformation, and Google, where if you are going on a date, a blind date, chances are that that person Googled you. If you're applying for a job, they Googled you. If you went to college, they may not have Googled you, but someone on that college campus did. So what story are you trying to tell, and what will people find online about you? So I went online, and I found something about my fellow presenter here. And so I want to ask you all, what do you think the story is that Cassie is trying to tell with this picture? So what, she's interviewing for a professional job. What is it she's trying to tell us?
Trying to drown her child.
She's trying to drown her child. Anybody else have any ideas?
No.
She had a foam party. What is this? She's drowning a baby. So Cassie, will you tell us what the real story is behind this picture?
Thanks, Chris. This is me. And my aunt and uncle have a hot tub, and they were going to clean it out one day. And so before they drained it, I asked them if I could pour a couple bottles of bubble bath in it and see what happened. And it overflowed, went all the way down our driveway and into the street and made a river. And I wanted to see how deep the river of bubbles were. So I went ahead and laid in it, and then my friend snapped this picture. And I think I'll delete this now.
Yeah.
Probably. Thank you.
Probably would be a good idea. It's not necessarily a bad photo. There's not anything illegal or horrible or awful going on in this photo, but is this the story? Is this the person you're trying to portray online? So I did find another photo that I think represents Cassie a little bit better, and that is this one. So this one shows Cassie. So this doesn't mean that all your photos online have to be professional headshots or anything, but we want you to think about, does the photos that people will find about you online match who you are as a person today? So they might be past photos, which we'll talk about in a little bit, about how you might go through your social media every once in a while and look at a photo and say, is this really who I am today? Is this the story that I'm trying to tell? So,
because he went and found my bubble picture, I went and found a picture of Chris. Yep, that's Chris. What story is Chris trying to tell here?
Peanut butter and jelly time.
What? Peanut butter jelly time? Cool.
that I'm awesome.
That he's awesome, super fun. That he likes bananas, maybe. What else? What could you? Yep. He likes to joke around a lot. Yeah. So if he's trying to show that, that could be a good picture for that. What?
So this picture. this picture was when I worked for the Fair Trade Organic Coffee Company. And October is Fair Trade Awareness Month, and you can get bananas fairly traded. So I dressed up as a Fair Trade banana for Halloween. So the next picture is a better representation of who I am today. It's a little bit old from last year, but it fits the job that I have currently now, which is doing outdoor science education. So here I am being a scientist. Still goofy, likes to joke around, but it's more about science education. This was for an award that I received. They did a photo shoot for the Rising Star Award, exactly. He Googled it.
I actually did.
Nice.
So, online, I want you to figure out your story and tell your story. There are good and bad sides to this. People tend to portray themselves in dramatically favorable ways online and only disclose the positive parts of their life. And that can be hard for other people to see. I know I've been affected of it, and I have experienced FOMO. Has anyone else experienced FOMO?
Do you know what FOMO is? No. The fear of missing out. So
Yeah.
it's when you see someone doing something and you feel like your life isn't as cool and that you're missing out because you're not doing the same things that person's doing.
So I see this a lot when my whole family, they're off traveling and doing amazing things, and all I do is work, work, work. And, you know, they also work crazy, but they're not going to just post every day, I'm going to work, I'm going to work. They're going to post the fun traveling pictures. So there are good and bad sides to this, but if you use this, you can use this power that we're going to teach you for good, and especially to benefit you as you're now going into where you're going to be applying for colleges, for internships, and potentially jobs. So what do you see in this picture? You see someone at the pool? Well, haha, no, you don't. So you can't always believe everything that you see on the internet. So even though people may be posting these amazing lives, and we look at them and we're like, oh my gosh, I wish I was just like them because look at all the amazing things you do, you don't get the full picture because they've been curating their story. So you know something that knows only the parts that they want to share with you. There was a story a few years ago about a girl from the Netherlands who decided to do an experiment, and she went on a vacation and she posted all about it on social media, but she actually didn't go anywhere, and she was just home in her apartment setting up things and using Photoshop to Photoshop herself into pictures. And at the end of her experiment, she actually ended up regretting doing it because there were times where her family really needed to get a hold of her and they weren't able to because they thought she was in Thailand and unreachable when actually she was just sitting in her apartment. So again, it's all about what you choose to share on social media to create that story about you. Don't go to this extreme where you are faking things, but use it to benefit yourself and share the things and the parts of you that you want to share. So earlier we talked about, like, you can lock everything down so when people Google you, when they search you, nothing shows up. I say you should have things come up, but show the parts of you that you want a school to see, that you want an employer to see, and there's a couple ways to do this. Here's my friend Katie. She is an Olympic snowboarder for Canada. She's getting ready right now to go to Korea to be in the Olympics next month. So she has her personal Facebook page where she has family and friends who have friended her. You have more control over who sees that content. And then she also has a page, which is a business page, just like Amazon has, Pepsi has, Skittles have. They all have business pages. Well, you, as a person, can set up a business page for yourself. Maybe you hope to be an actor. Maybe you want to be an artist or an athlete or a recording artist. You can create a page for that now, and if you're an artist, just share pictures of your art. You don't ever have to put your face there, but you can have your name and then your art. So when somebody goes to Google you or look you up on social media, they see your art, or they see your work, or they see that you're interested in certain things, you've volunteered certain places. They'll still be able to find out about you, but not necessarily private information.
Do any of you have friends who have multiple accounts of one social media or another? Yeah. And do they use one maybe more personal and one more public? Right. So we do suggest, though, we want to make clear that it's not always the best idea to have two profiles as much as having a profile page and then a business page. That way you can be promoting yourself on your business page.
So here's Katie's personal Facebook page. So this is where she posts pictures of her and her husband when they go on vacations, her wedding pictures she posted on here, and this is where she can communicate with her friends and family. And just like your Facebook profile page, you can control, even within your friends and people you're connected to, who sees what. But if you really want to control that even more and just make your personal Facebook really private, then you create the page, which she has here, which is a fan page, and you can post very similar things if you want, but really gear it to something that you're interested in. If you're interested in a certain subject in school, that's what you want to study in college, post articles about that, find pictures, show your work, so then when colleges are looking you up, they might find your Facebook page and be like, wow, they really know what their stuff, and they're thinking about what they're putting out there.
And it doesn't always have to be a future job either. You can think of it as a resume in terms of maybe you have a page to show that you're an amazing volunteer and all you post are pictures of you doing community service or cleaning up trails, things like that. So you can use this in different ways to promote the best parts of yourself.
So part of promoting the best part of yourself, we talked about earlier when we showed the pictures, is going back through and editing the photos that you have in your social media account. So Instagram, does anybody remember on Instagram when it was super great to just put frames on every picture and the filters?
Yeah.
Yes, so I really remember that because I put frames on every single picture that I put out there. And I decided that really wasn't me anymore. And so you can actually on Instagram not have to delete your photos, but you can archive your photos. So if you go to a photo, there's the little 3 dots that are next to that photo. You can choose to delete it and it's gone forever, or you can archive it, which it goes into a safe place that's just for you, and you can always share the photo later, but then you still have your photos. A lot of popular Instagrammers will keep the number of photos they have on their public profile really low, and so when they post a new picture, they go to the very end and they archive that last one. I learned this really late, and I have like thousands of pictures, and so I do this every couple
They're
weeks.
mostly of his cat.
Yeah.
You can also do this, yeah. You can also do this on Facebook. So you can go to a specific photo and you can click on the privacy settings and click only me. And that way only you can see these photos. You don't have to delete them. You still have a place where you get to keep them all, but you can delete the ones that are no longer relevant. So maybe you have some pictures from, maybe don't want that picture on there anymore. Maybe you have a bubble picture you want to take off. You might want to go ahead and make that so it's private only to you. So you can do this, but then they're still there. So if you ever want to do a throwback Thursday or, hey, look at how much I've grown from 5th grade till now, you can still have access to those pictures on your social media.
The other recommendation I have for Facebook is to turn on the timeline review so that your friends can't tag you in those awesome, beautiful pictures that they always take of you.
Yeah.
So you have more control over what people tag you in and what you share on your Facebook page, depending on how public you make your page. For me, my Facebook page, I'm friends with city council people, I'm friends with coworkers, I'm friends with lots of people in the community, so I'm very careful with the things that I post and that I share, and I also want to be careful with what I'm tagged in because my friends can see that. So I always recommend to turn on that timeline review, and then also there's a setting where it will automatically suggest to people that are friends with you when they upload photos that, oh, do you want to tag so-and-so? I've turned that off just so people don't get that suggestion to be able to tag me in pictures. So you can find all of that under your privacy settings, under timeline and tagging. Another great thing to do is to go to your Facebook profile and click the little 3 dots and then say view as. So if you're working on separating different groups of people in your Facebook profile, making different privacy settings. Maybe you want certain things to be available to the public for when they come and see you. I work for a nonprofit, so whenever I post about our fundraising campaigns, I make those posts public. So if somebody's searching me, they'll find my profile. They won't learn anything about me except that I'm looking for money. But you just click view as, and you can actually type in any of your friends' names, and you can see what they see on your Facebook profile page, because you can make different groups of privacy. So when you post, like, for your work friends, you can post something, or your school friends.
All right, so part of curating your online kind of self-story is claiming your name. This is one of the things that we think you should do if you can. And what does that mean? It means opening a Facebook page, opening a YouTube page, opening a web address that uses your name, not Hot Stuff 91, not, I don't know, what are you guys watching these days? MTV Lover. You guys don't watch MTV. But something that uses your name, your first and last name, or any combination thereof. For example, I have a Gmail address. It's carter.cassie. It's not my name anymore, but it was. So what we suggest you do is go and open accounts in all of these different social medias, on Twitter, on Instagram. Do you have to use those accounts? No. But you're claiming your name so that no one else can. If someone else has the facebook.com/Cassie Dwyer, and they're posting a bunch of crazy stuff I don't want popping up when people Google me, then that really stinks. And so I would hope to have my own Facebook with my name. I want to really emphasize the email piece of this. As you start to apply for scholarships and apply for college and apply for different programs, when I get email addresses like HotStuff91, I'm just like, ugh, come on guys. It's so unprofessional. So you can keep that. You can get all your junk mail. Your friends and family can email you there. That's fine. But open an email account that is just your name so that you can use those on more professional things. Because if I look at HotStuff91, I don't know who that is. But if I look at chrisob@gmail.com, I know exactly who that is. So please do this for yourselves. This is becoming such a popular practice, and because social media is becoming and has been becoming so huge for so long, parents these days, when they have a new child, when they have a new baby, they're actually doing this for their child and just saving them for when the child gets on social media. That way they don't have to be Cassie Dwyer 526. They get to just be Cassie Dwyer #1. Yes?
So going along with that, what if you have like a crazy last name?
Yeah.
Like mine's Vafiatis and it always gets misspelled
Yeah.
and like mispronounced and stuff. Would you recommend still using that, or like using my middle name, or?
So I had a friend named Katie Tuisinti Pansai. Her email address, and she even made, when we went to CC, she even had the school change it to Katie Tui.
Okay.
She just shortened it, and that's kind of what people knew her as well. So she was able to still incorporate the name, but not have, because no one's going to spell it right, and they're not going to get the right email. So if you can shorten it, or maybe use just an initial, something like that, that can be helpful. But that would be my suggestion for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Cassie said, even if you don't use these social media sites, go ahead and save the name so someone else can't get it. Because if Cassie emailed christopher.aaby@gmail.com, she would not get me, because I wasn't smart enough at the time that I opened my Gmail to choose my name. And so there is someone else who has that email address, and I have emailed them and talked to them.
Well, and think about this too. There's some social media sites that you think, oh, that's never going to take off. It's not going to become popular. And it does. Wouldn't you like to have been on the bandwagon and maybe not used it, but saved your name? For example, when we were growing up, we had MySpace. And Facebook was this weird thing that no one used. It would have been really nice to reserve a Facebook page and then use it now that everyone uses it. So just kind of be on the front line of all of that.
So now we're going to Google someone. We're going to Google me, because that's what I have saved in the slides. So who here has Googled themselves? Okay.
Put it in before we.
Great. So when you Googled yourself, did you use a private browser or an incognito browser?
Nope.
All right. So that is one of my suggestions, is to use a private browser or incognito browser, because Google tracks what you search and it keeps a database and it tries to think of what you're going to search and what it thinks you want to see. So it may actually change your search results based on your location and how many times you've searched a certain thing. So doing a private browser, incognito, it won't always give you new results, but this is what it would be like if someone who had never Googled your name before Googled your name.
Does anyone not know how to access an incognito? Okay. So what you do when you're using Chrome is you right click and you can open a new incognito page. If you have an iPhone, you can also do that when you go, when you go to the website and you're gonna click and open a brand new page, just click private. So just kind of, and if you don't know how to do it on your specific browser, Google it. They'll tell
Look
you.
it up on YouTube.
Google will tell you.
So you go to Google in your incognito browser, you put in your name, and then you hit enter, and then you're going to learn all these amazing things about yourself. So my Google results, the first ones that come up are the company that I work for, which that's great. There's this mylife.com that tries to get data from all over and get people to pay to do background checks on people. You can see my Rising Star award that I received, a newspaper article that I was interviewed for, and then as you go down, you start to see some of my social media sites, my LinkedIn profile, my Twitter profile, and then you also see, here's this Together We Served Major Christopher AABY. That is not me. I was never in the military, but this is a Marine who I have spoken to, because all the Christopher AABYs, we all emailed each other, and there were a lot of news stories that came out about him because he had a friend who passed away in Afghanistan in 2007, and so there were a lot of newspaper articles, so a lot of the results that come up are about him. There's also a Danish guy with my same name who's a video game designer. So a lot of stuff also will pop up from him, but because I've been doing so much with my company, and I've been quoted in the newspaper, I've been on the news, on TV for Catamount Institute, a lot of the top results that are coming up will come up with me. So, and that's what the Danish guy has said, was that he wished he was the top result, but it's me. Another place to look is the image search to see what pictures are coming up about you, what other people have posted, things like that. So here you can see the first couple are the about the military story, and then there's the Danish guy, there's a guy in Minnesota that has the same name, but then you can see me holding a skunk on TV, all different kinds of things. So a lot of these pictures, if you want to try and control the pictures that come up in Google search, because all of these things you can control. You can control what comes up in Google search and Google image search by posting online. So if you want to control the pictures that come up in the image search, post pictures on Twitter. The majority of these pictures that are coming up are all coming from my Twitter profile. So if you want your artwork to be associated with your name, post on Twitter and post pictures of your art.
So it doesn't even have to be a picture of you, it can be a picture you've taken. So Chris actually took these two of the Waldo Canyon fire that the newspaper then used, so they're associated with his name. That's why they pop up.
So the last thing we want to talk about, wrapping this all together, is that we want you to get what you want through social media. So using social media to help you get into college, to help you get a job, to tell your story in the right way, that it can actually benefit you. So I have a couple examples that are a little bit extreme. They're back from the days when I was the marketing manager for the coffee company. So I literally was on Twitter and Facebook all day, every day, trying to promote this coffee company, and I was traveling to different trade shows around the country. So I was using social media a lot more than I was. I wasn't an influencer, but I started to get to that where companies would pay attention when I would post. So I posted about going to Denver to see a show and going shopping at IKEA and what hotel should I stay at. Immediately, this hotel in Denver wrote back that we should go there, and then wrote back again that they were having a big sale. So I booked a hotel room there, and they knew I was shopping at IKEA, so when I arrived at the hotel, in the room, on the bed, they actually had an IKEA shopping bag there and a little note from the front desk that said, "We're excited to have you here, have fun at the show, and enjoy IKEA." That was a really neat touch.
So why would the hotel do that, do you think? Go ahead.
Get you to go there.
Get you to go there more. Yep. Anyone else?
So, maybe if he does make a living, he can say good things about the.
That Chris is posting all the time and people are paying attention to what he's posting, and so they're going to make sure he posts something like, "Gosh, this hotel was awesome," so that more people will go. Very smart of the Hyatt.
So another time I was working for this coffee company, which was called Buy Well Coffee, and we had a coffee called the Screaming Monkey. So the monkey was the one who was doing the tweeting from that profile, and we were going to the fancy food show in San Francisco, and so I was posting about the trade show and saying I was visiting this hotel, and then I also posted from my personal Facebook that I was going to the hotel. The hotel tweeted back, "Oh, we're so excited to have you there." I didn't think anything else of it. I arrived at the hotel, and they said, "Oh, we have you in your upgraded room." I was like, "Oh, upgraded? What did I do to get that? That's kind of weird." And so when I went into the room, it was this amazing corner room at this hotel. There was all this like food in there, and there was some letters, and the letters were from like the hotel manager, the chef, and the head concierge saying, "Oh, we're so excited to have you here." And then there was also a plate of bananas for the Screaming Monkey. So they had taken that I had posted about them and upgraded my room and left these things, because then of course my company tweeted out about that they had left the plate of bananas and that it was excited to be there. It was probably one of the nicest hotel rooms I've ever gotten to stay at. This was the view from the bathroom. So like the toilet was like literally right here. It was really crazy. So, thinking about these are extreme cases. You're not going to just go online and tweet at a company and have them answer back and be like, "Oh, we'll send you free stuff," or "We'll upgrade your plane seats," or something. But if you spend enough time on social media, some of these things can happen.
How much did that room cost?
So I went back a couple years later, and I was like, "Oh, I totally want to get that corner room," and it was like $400 or $500 for the night. So I had to stay like down lower, and it was only like a couple $100. So
Did they give it to you for free that one time?
they did. They upgraded me. I still paid for the regular rate, but they upgraded me into that room. So every once in a while, I don't spend as much time on Twitter as I used to, and so every once in a while I try and tweet at companies, and nobody cares anymore because I'm not on there as much as I used to be.
So you can also take this and use it for the things you're doing. So you're not a marketing manager at a coffee company right now, but you are looking at colleges. So maybe you tweet the college and say, "Hey, I'm really excited to come on a tour today." And they'll notice things like that, and that can always give you bonus points. So kind of take the advice that we're giving you in the examples and think about how you can use them in your life. All right, so in review, what do we want you to do with social media? We want you to stay safe. Don't talk to the weird strangers, okay?
Talk to good.
Talk to the good strangers. And if they become weird, get out of there. Tell your story. And tell the story that you want people to hear. You want them to know the good things about you, maybe not the not so good things. Use social media for good. Don't be a bully. Don't be mean, because people will also see that you're doing that and they will hold that against you. So use social media for good. Good for yourself and good for other people. And then get what you want. Ask for what you want. Show what you want. And if you use social media for good, you'll get more of what you want. So I'm curious, is anyone, as we've gone through this presentation, thought, "Ooh, I'm going to go home and do this today," or "I'm going to close this account or open this account"? Yeah.
I have, because like when I was younger, I could put like a lot of things up and like when you would get cleaned up, they were like filed in.
Yeah. So are you going to go and archive those tonight? Yeah. Anyone else? Things you're going to change? Anyone going to open a new, more professional email address maybe? Please do that. Yes. Yeah.
So I have like 3 emails, one for mainly colleges and stuff because I get like 500 emails a day that I don't like to sort through.
Yep.
And then I also have another one for family, and then I have another one for friends.
Yep.
And all of them are like serious, I guess. Should I create another one?
So the college one, is that a more professional name?
Well, yeah, it's just Sheldon one, but my name is Rachel, so it doesn't really reflect my name.
Yeah, if you don't have one that's your actual name, do go ahead and open it, and then just be careful on what you're giving that to. So if you're getting just information from all kinds of colleges and all the booths out here, you might want to use your shell one. But once you're actually applying to colleges and scholarships, use the more professional one. That way you can go and check that one knowing that you're going to find the more professional things. And then once you all are in college, your school will give you an email address to use for school. But it's always good to keep that other one because then when you're out in the work world, you're going to want that one. And sometimes eventually you might get rid of an email address or just stop using it altogether.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay to have multiple email addresses. I think most of us do. I have maybe 4, and 2 of them I don't think I check ever. And then,
Yeah, the one I use for my friends, I would never check because nobody uses email.
right. No one uses email until you're an adult. Have fun.
Until you work, and then you have too many emails
Yeah.
every day.
Anyone else planning on doing something or planning on going to your friend and being like, yo, that picture, you really need to take that down. You do that a lot?
I have social media, but I don't use it.
You don't use it?
Is anyone going to use social media
No, I don't.
more than they did before? Maybe tell a different story?
You want free hotels?
Wait, tell us about what?
You got to spend a lot of time on social media if you
Yeah,
want those free
start
hotels.
tweeting.
You have to make friends with a lot of not strange strangers.
Every other shit that we do.
Are there any other questions? All right, so while we have you,
I'm going to do a shameless plug for my program that I run. So I work for an organization called Leadership Pikes Peak. We're a nonprofit here in town, and we run various programs for different age groups. And the program that I run is for current sophomores and juniors. It'll take place in the summer before your junior or senior year. And it's a leadership and civic engagement program. So what will you get? We focus on leadership of the self. So learning a lot about yourself, your identity, who you are, what type of leader you are, what your personality types are. Leadership of your communities, and that might include all your little communities. It might be your softball team, it might be your school, it might be your church, it might be your family. And then leadership of the city. So you'll get to learn all about the different sectors of our community, and you'll get to meet the leaders of those sectors. In fact, we have 2 leading edge alumni in the room. Just wave. Yay, calling you out. And so this summer program is accepting applications starting now through April 15th. It's a really awesome resume builder. If you were interested in this conference and becoming a better leader, that is a really good next step for you to go even deeper in that. So check us out at leadershippikespeak.org. I also have info sheets on the program that I'll have up front if you want to take one when you leave. And I also have a table right outside the store if you want to ask questions about the program later. But I highly recommend it. We do a lot of fun work. Social media is just one of the hundreds of things we do during the program, and it's a really great time. So I hope some of you will be interested in checking that out, and if you have a friend you think would be interested, definitely look at that. Just know you don't have to be leaders already, okay? All right.
very good. Thank you guys so much. If you have any other questions that you want to ask us, we'll be here. And if you want to learn about Leading Edge more, we can answer those questions. Or if you have any specific social media questions, we can try and answer those as well.
So please fill out the
Can you just